let's look at this article from the Drive. They're talking about a new Ram 1500 has plastic control arms, but that's okay. And here is why. All right,
Interesting.
let me just give you the rundown on this article. All right, so this is the upper control arm
Hmm.
that we're looking at. They're saying that the upper control arm does not need to be as strong as the lower control arm, and they're saying that this is not a completely plastic part. There is steel inside of it, and they
Mm.
just kind of put that around the steel. So that is what they are saying. And they saying that this has been like this for 7 years. Like it's not a new thing.
Yeah.
Somebody made a
In options.
somebody made a TikTok about this or something,
Hmm.
and they were complaining, "Look, Dodge is making parts out of plastic, and this is terrible." But apparently, they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. People say that like they don't test it.
Yeah,
Like, oh, what is 3D printed this thing and threw it on your brand new truck? No, this stuff has been tested rigorously. Like, you understand, like all the hoops they have to jump through to make sure these vehicles are safe and withstand certain forces on the road. Like, if they were brittle and they were an issue, they would have never done it. Like, the safety standards
yeah,
they have to run through are just ridiculous. So,
totally.
if it meets all those requirements, you probably have nothing to worry about. The only thing that would concern me is over time, plastics do break down. So what
Yeah,
does that look like? Or when would that happen? I have no idea, but also steel rusts and
yeah.
also breaks down. So does one last longer than the other? I don't know, but
We'll
as
see.
far as durability goes, it should be a no factor for most people.
Yeah, so that is. I agree with you, Dane. The person who wrote this article, they talked to somebody in the engineering department
Hmm.
and at Ram, and they were saying it's a composite exterior, but inside it's still
Hmm.
steel. The spokesperson responded to the criticism that Ram took the cheap route in using composites, but they're saying the final piece is more expensive to build and offers a significant weight reduction versus steel or aluminum. So the part is actually costs more, but it weighs less. And until about 2 weeks ago, we were really, really concerned about miles per gallon until Trump big beautiful bill told them to big beautiful shove their fuel economy standards. So before that, everything is weight reduction. In order to get the miles per gallon higher, the less it weighs, the better it's going to be on gas. So
Yeah.
every part gets looked at to try to do stuff like this to it. So it's not just being cheap. This one actually costs a little bit more. So it is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Just because it's plastic doesn't mean it's not as strong. Same thing for people that look at aluminum versus steel. I think aluminum's weaker than steel. It's not.
Yeah.
It depends on how it's designed.
Yeah, and the application as
Yep.
well.
Exactly.
So it looks like it's going to be okay. It's been in there for I guess about 7 or 8 years, and we haven't fallen to pieces. So hopefully it'll be okay. Let's look
Hmm.
at the comments. This person says, "I'm not worried about its engineered qualities, but a little concerned about its oxidation rate and effects. I don't know what it will look like in 10 years, but I do know that brittle plastic for the most part looks like good plastic."
Hmm.
Yeah, we'll see. Um, in 10 years, yeah, we have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be all right. And again, it's not completely plastic, but it's partially plastic on the outside.
Hmm.
This guy says plastic might be a superior engineering choice, but Ram is trying to appeal to many of the same buyers who won't touch a 1911 that has MIM parts. So they're talking about a pistol, right? What is
Yep.
MIM parts? Do you know?
Made in Mexico? I don't know.
Made in Mexico? I
I have
don't
no
know.
idea what MIM. I'm just guessing.
Oh, I don't know what that means, but
I don't either.
I don't know. This guy responds, plastic is a dirty word because so many companies use excessively cheap plastics. But in reality, plastics are something of a magic material. They can be lighter than steel, lighter, cheaper, and easier to manufacture. Not necessarily all at once, but there is a lot of versatility there. We are in the era where you can buy a cheap 3D printer and generate nearly any plastic part you need to on the fly. Yeah, well, I don't know if you'd be able to manufacture this part because
No.
there's steel inside of it, but I do know what he's saying about the 3D printer. I'm going to show you a story about that in a second.
Mhm.
But yeah, plastics. I'm not going to say they're magic, but in the right circumstance, they could be okay.
Mhm.
I don't know. I mean, the cars they got to get lighter, but I do understand what he's saying. When they get old, they do get brittle and they start leaking. We just got to do the best we can. I don't know. If you get an old car that's 10 years old and there are some plastic parts that are known to break, maybe it is time to go in there like a mechanic ninja, get those parts out, put the new ones in, and then drive it another 10 years. Dane, do you agree with that?
Yeah, for the most part. Plastics do get a bad rap, like this guy said, because they they're used in places where they can be cheap. And so you see a lot of cheap plastic parts, pieces, even toys, think of it stuff in your everyday life, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that are disposable. They don't need to be made of metal or whatever, and plastic's a cheap alternative. But that doesn't mean there's not high grade, high strength plastics as well.
Yeah. I think plastics are getting better. I looked up something before. People now they're saying, "Oh, modern cars, they're plastic. This is terrible. Everything was so great back in the 70s and 80s." But I looked up some information. There were some GMs that had partially plastic timing gears.
Hmm.
For example, the Chevy Celebrity had uh, a gear like that. Instead of a time and chain or belt, it was metal. I guess it was steel on the inside and plastic teeth
Hmm.
around it. Now those teeth would wear out as the vehicle would get older,
Hmm.
but this is, and they had some V8s like that with this setup too. So plastics aren't 100% new. They have been there for a while. If we were around or we got one of those vehicles now, go ahead and replace that gear as soon as you get it so you don't get the problems that happen with it. And even throughout the whole 80s and 90s, and even now, Honda and other Asian manufacturers and some US manufacturers, excuse me, have been using timing belts. I mean, how is that? That's kind of like a plastic as rubber, but
Oh
you
yeah.
could be using a chain. But for many years, we used a rubber belt, and you go in there every so often and you replace it because and there were a lot of engines that failed because of that timing belt when they could have been more expensive and used a chain. These are the engines we look at as some of the greatest engines ever. My Acura Integra 1990 had a timing belt, and this was before I really started to become a good mechanic. And that thing broke on me while I was driving, bent
Mm,
up all the valves. And now
damn
we're
it.
complaining about newer cars, and there are some complaints, but these problems, we've always had problems.
Yeah.
Timing belts are there's plastic, similar to plastic.
Exactly. Yeah, they break down, deteriorate, but lines too. I'm sure people have maybe had experiences with like leaky power steering lines. Well, they're made of a rubber too, right? They break down with heat over time, so it's not much different.
Mm. Get in there and replace that plastic. Stop crying.
Yep.
You get a car that's 10 years old and you want it to be trouble free, it ain't gonna happen. You
Nope.
get in there, replace that plastic, and then you drive it. Nobody promised you a car to get to 1,000,000 miles without problems.
You'd be paying a lot more money for it if you did, if you were guaranteed one that would go that far without problems.
Yeah. So all those cars of the past that made it to 1,000,000 miles, I guarantee you the OEM had no idea it was capable of that.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
didn't because they could never test that long. It takes a year for an OEM to put 100,000 miles on a car
Hmm.
on or to driving it on the street.
Yep.
So, in order to see if you could get to 1,000,000 miles, it would take you 10 years. The production cycle is 4 to 5 years usually. They
Hmm.
don't have time to even see if these cars could last that long, and they don't know. They don't know when they're
Even
going
if
to
they did
last.
do 1,000,000 miles in a year, that's not the same as 1,000,000 miles over 20.
Yeah,
There's
yeah, that's different. Yeah,
you
that's a
know,
good point.
there is accelerated life testing that you can do. There's like different chambers that the parts can be tested in and operated in, and things to kind of like age something faster. But it's not an exact science.
Yeah.
It's not really true real world. But yeah, they don't have the luxury of developing something for 20 years to find out.
I
They'll
know,
just
and by the
take what
time
they
you
learned and
did all that, it'd be time to make a new model anyway.
exactly. They're too far behind the ball, so they're doing the best that they can.
Oh, that's true. Dane, I want to show you this. This is from Jason's Supra page. This a short he made. He there's on the Acura Integra, there's a problem with this actuator that opens and closes
Hmm.
the trunk. So he saw you can't even get this part anymore and it breaks so often. Somebody figured out what exactly goes wrong in this actuator,
Hmm.
and they'll 3D print a new part,
Oh,
and
that's
then you
awesome.
can open it up and go in there. Yeah, see,
That's
Acura
awesome.
Integra rear trunk hatch lock latch actuator. So you can order this thing, open it up, and just fix it. So this is a very old vehicle. This is, I think, in '94 they started making that body style.
Hmm.
So this
Dang,
was the one after the Integra I had. So yeah,
that's
he go in there, open it up, fix it.
yeah. I bought a not this, but similar. I needed a clip for a map sensor, a manifold absolute pressure sensor for an intake manifold.
Hmm.
It's like a little two-piece clip. It's like a little like U almost, and it just clips down into the intake manifold to hold the sensor in place. Well, the it had broke, and so looking for a replacement, and there is not one that exists. But there's a couple people on like eBay that have like eBay stores set up where they 3D print a replacement one. I'm like, well, hell, all it's got to do is hold a sensor on. Let me try it. It's like
Yeah,
$4 plus shipping. Shipping was like $4 too. Throw it on,
yeah,
it works just as good as the OEM. It doesn't look the same, but it's covered up and under the car. So, anyways, this is a great example of people having 3D printers and being innovative and can making stuff work.
yeah. So this guy in the comments says, "I love it when people are able to get around the extreme prices people are charging for parts by
Mhm.
fixing their own. Something satisfying about the screw you and your prices."
That's right. I like it.
This guy says 3D printing is giving new life to our hobby. I love it.
Yep.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. So yeah, vehicle repairs are more difficult, but at the same time, they're more possible because we have the internet, we have 3D printers, we have 3D scanners, and I think it's going to be a very interesting time.
Hmm.
It's the best of times, and it was the worst of times. But look at it on the bright side. You-
Hmm.
Back when I first started fixing cars, um, the most you could do was order the factory service manual off eBay and
Hmm.
try to figure it out from there. Now we got YouTube. You could go on there. You could see 10 different videos of somebody taking apart, put it in the back together. You could see this guy, Jason Supra,
Hmm.
showing you how to take the part apart
Hmm.
and put the just a new little piece in there and
Yep.
fix it. Yo, that reminds me. One time when I was working at Ford Technical Hotline doing my internship there
Hmm.
when I was in school. One of the mechanics they sent in a question asking, "How do I get this motor apart for?" I think it was like a HVAC blend door,
Mm.
and he's like, "Yeah, all these little parts came out." It's like, "How do I replace? How do I put this back together? It's not in the manual," and we didn't know.
Hmm.
We're like, "Look, we don't have that information. You got to replace the whole act actuator like this thing."
Yep.
But now you could figure out how to replace
Exactly.
this. And this is something that even because this was a service engineer intern that I was doing,
Hmm.
even the engineers weren't able to do this repair back
Hmm.
then. And this was maybe, um, I guess back in 2011,
Okay.
I was there. So yeah, about 12 years later, now we're able to do stuff now on your own that engineers were not able to do back then.
Hmm.
Things are looking up.
Yeah, things are really good. There's more information available than ever. So yeah, not a bad time to dig in and learn.
All right. All right, let's get to the next article. If you are in the comment section, you could click on the link if you want to come on and talk to Dane and I. If you are just watching, please hit the like button. That would be awesome. We got to get this information out there, get some positive information out there. People I see online, sometimes they could be very negative, and I try to keep it a little bit more positive. It is possible to fix things.